Some of my most thrilling memories in life are from travel. Trips to exotic places around the world, and even my rides to work. I started bike commuting about 4 years ago, and it was actually out of desperation. I had hurt my foot that winter playing basketball. I had this excruciating heel spur, turned into plantar fasciitis, then Achilles tendonitis. At one point, I think I had itis in my ears. I'm not sure, but it was very painful. I needed to find some help getting around DC, where I was living at the time. Biking was actually a good alternative. If I didn't put weight on my heel, I could get around just fine. I even needed help getting to my work, which was in Crystal City. It was about 4 miles from my apartment. So I started bike commuting out to work. I pulled a bike out of storage. An old Peace Corps friend had actually left it at my place. She went off to grad school, didn't need it, said I could have it. It was a mountain bike. The frame was too big for me. The gears were busted. It had these knobby tires, so big, I think I'd even seen car tires that were thinner than those. But all I needed was some help getting from point A to B. I didn't need the Cadillac of all bikes. This would do. I was excited that first morning that I set out for my bike commute. I was working at a conservation nonprofit at the time. Biking was actually right in line with our values. Thought this is good, low impact. I could take in some nature on my ride in the morning. I'd heard about the warblers and some other birds on the Mount Vernon Trail. Thought maybe I could hear birds singing to me in my ride in. That first morning, I was listening. I couldn't hear any birds. There was a buzz, though, that I heard pretty much the whole ride into work. And it wasn't birds. Instead, it was this, on your left. The whole way to work. Bikers were passing me in droves, sometimes 3 at a time, these road bikers. I could not believe how fast they were going. That first week, I think I counted 3 people that I passed, and 2 of them were on Segways, so I'm not even sure if that counts. But I still said on your left, very proudly. Months had gone by. I really hadn't gotten any faster. Turns out when you have one gear, it's not so much you can do to speed up. I was feeling defeated. It felt like these road bikers didn't think I belonged on the trails. I was at an intersection one morning, 15 in Pennsylvania. I was at a stoplight. I was up on the curb. And I see this road biker weaving through traffic coming up. He's got this super thin frame, his seat post raised so high. He comes into the intersection. We had about 17 seconds till the light turned green. I could feel this glare on me. It was just giving me these repeated up-downs. I thought, what could he be looking at? Just as the light turned green, he sped off and said, "That bike looks so heavy, you should use it as an anchor weight." So why be so obnoxious? Yeah, you know what? Maybe it would be a good anchor. Let's get back here. I'll tie it around your neck. Throw it, toss it in the Potomac, see how it works. You know? I just about had it. I mean, why were these bullies trying to tell me I couldn't be on the trail? I mean, I'd done my best to keep up. I didn't have a lot of money. I was working at a nonprofit. There wasn't much I could do to upgrade. I was becoming belligerent myself on the trail. I couldn't take the on your lefts anymore. I was throwing out some snarky comments myself. On your left, yeah, well, I'm on your right, and I'm gonna just remain back here for the whole ride, and those spandex aren't working for you, I'm sorry. As the seasons were changing, I was ready to put my bike back in storage. It was time. I just didn't understand why these bikers were such bullies. I mean, really, why do they need to go like 20 miles per hour on their way into work in the morning? Is this how they got their thrills? I mean, maybe they need to find a new job or some new hobbies, you know? And those obnoxious biking shirts and the spandex wraparound sunglasses, why do they need to look like Lance Armstrong on their way into work in the morning? I mean, is that how they got their thrill? Really? I had other ways of finding a thrill in life. I was working at this conservation organization that sent me around the world. At one point I had a project in Belize and then the Galapagos, Cambodia. I can assure you that my Cambodian colleagues didn't have a bike that weighed 10 pounds. They were happy if their bike had 2 wheels on it. I got my thrill from this travel. I didn't need the road biking. I put the bike back in storage. And that winter, I actually had a trip out to Madagascar to visit our project sites. It was a great trip. We were doing some great projects out there. There were ecotourism businesses were doing well in these communities. We had formed some contracts with national parks. It was a great trip. I came back, but about a week later, there was a coup in Madagascar, and the president was overtaken. the capital resulted in chaos and it spread throughout the country. The funding to our project there ended. And weeks later, I realized my job was in peril. My main job at that moment was dependent on that project in Madagascar. So I spent that winter looking for a new job. And the job I took was not my top pick, but I needed to secure something. I went over to a consulting firm, and it was true what they say about the private sector. There are a lot of benefits there. It was much higher pay, job security. But I no longer had the travel. My clients were no longer based in the tropics. They were based in the Ronald Reagan building. I was mainly working with senior economists. They're not as cute as the lemurs of Madagascar. As springtime came, I was feeling restless. I needed a thrill. I found myself craving getting back on that bicycle. But I was making more money now, and I realized I could make some upgrades. That first week, I got clip-in pedals. Wow, they really sped me up on that mountain bike. Then the next week, I fixed the gears. By week 3, I was in spandex. And I was enjoying it. I enjoyed them, actually, a lot. As the joyless realities of consulting life settled in, I found myself craving my bike rides more and more. I would count the hours in the workday till I could get back on my bike. By week 5, I had arrived. I purchased a 15-pound Cannondale CAD 9 road bike. Dura Ace derailleur, Shimano, okay, I don't know what any of that means. It's a fast bike. I couldn't wait to get my spandex on every morning. That's the reason I get out of bed. Sometimes I come home and I leave them on for a couple hours. I'm now the one that says, on your left. Biking is no longer just a means of getting from point A to B. It is now my thrill in life.